Imagine seeing your favorite music legends one last time, caught in rare final photos that reveal more than words ever could. These are the last glimpses of legendary musicians. Ronnie James Dio was last seen laying in his bed showing iconic hand sign in early 2010. He died a few months later from stomach cancer, leaving behind a heavy metal legacy. Buddy Holly's final photo was taken before his last concert on February 2, 1959. He died in a plane crash hours later, a tragedy that became the day the music died. Aaliyah's last photos were taken in the Bahamas while filming Rock the Boat on August 25, 2001, just hours before her tragic plane crash. John Denver's last performance photo was taken 2 weeks before his fatal plane crash on October 12, 1997, near Monterey Bay, California. This last image of Bob Marley was taken as he was heading back to his native Jamaica, but he never made it home. Looking frail but peaceful, he died of cancer later that year at the young age of 36. Freddie Mercury's last public photo shows him in his garden in London, looking frail. He died of AIDS-related complications on November 24, 1991, at age 45. Whitney Houston was last photographed at a Grammy party on February 9, 2012. 2 days later, she was found dead in a hotel bathtub in Beverly Hills, California. Kurt Cobain's last known photo is from early 1994 in his Seattle home. A month later, he was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, ending an era of grunge. Jim Morrison was last seen in Paris walking with his girlfriend, Pamela Corson, in July 1971. He died soon after from heart failure in his apartment bathtub. Bon Scott was last photographed sleeping in a tour bus in February 1980. He died hours later from alcohol poisoning, ending his run with AC/DC. This last photo of Janis Joplin was taken on October 3, 1970. The next day, she was found dead from a heroin overdose at just 27, joining the tragic 27 Club. Frank Sinatra was last photographed in West Hollywood in May 1998. He died shortly after of a heart attack at age 82, ending a legendary music career. Peter Steele of Type O Negative died suddenly in 2010 from sepsis. This image, taken weeks before, shows him during a quiet moment near his Brooklyn home. A final snapshot of Michael Jackson shows him rehearsing for his comeback tour just 12 hours before his sudden cardiac arrest on June 25, 2009. John Lennon was last photographed signing an album for Mark David Chapman, his killer, outside the Dakota in New York City on December 8, 1980, just hours before his death. George Harrison's final image was taken in 2001. The former Beatle died that same year in Los Angeles after a long battle with cancer. Karen Carpenter was last seen publicly at the Grammys on January 11, 1983. Just weeks later, she died from heart failure caused by anorexia at age 32. Tom Petty's final known photos show him days before his death in October 2017. He passed away from an accidental drug overdose at the age of 66. Prince is seen entering his doctor's office on April 20, 2016. This surveillance image is his last known photo before his fatal overdose the following day. Randy Rhoads was photographed on his concert in Knoxville, Tennessee, shortly before boarding a small plane for a joyride. The plane crashed, killing him instantly at age 25 in 1982. This is the final photo of Ronnie Van Zant, taken less than 24 hours before the Leonard Skynyrd plane crash that killed him and 5 others on October 20, 1977. This final photo of Selena was taken at her home in Corpus Christi on March 30, 1995, just 1 day before her tragic murder at the age of 23. Eric Carr of Kiss was last photographed at Madison Square Garden on November 9, 1991. He died just 2 weeks later from heart cancer at only 41. Cliff Burton, bassist for Metallica, was last photographed during the band's tour in Sweden in 1986. He died in a tragic bus accident at just 24 years old. Chris Cornell was last seen on stage with Soundgarden in Detroit on May 17, 2017. He died by suicide later that night in his hotel room at age 52. The Notorious Big was last seen alive leaving a party in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997. Minutes later, he was fatally shot in a drive-by at just 24 years old. Keith Moon, Right, was last photographed leaving a party with Paul McCartney in 1978. He died later that night from an overdose at just 32 years old. George Michael was last photographed dining with his friends 2 months before death. He died unexpectedly from heart failure on Christmas Day at age 53. Tupac Shakur was photographed at the Mike Tyson fight on September 7, 1996 in Las Vegas, just hours before he was fatally shot in a drive-by. He died 6 days later. Tina Turner shared this peaceful photo from home shortly before her passing in 2023. She died at 83 from natural causes, leaving a powerful legacy. Dimebag Darrell's final image shows him performing on stage in Columbus, Ohio, on December 8, 2004, moments before he was fatally shot during the concert. This photo of Marie Fredriksson was taken during her final concert performance. The beloved Roxette singer passed away in 2019 after battling cancer for years. Avicii was last photographed with fans at his Muscat Hotel on April 20, 2018. He died later that day by suicide while on vacation in Oman at just 28. Frank Zappa's final photo shows him frail but smiling in his home in 1993. He died of prostate cancer later that year, age 52, surrounded by family. Jimi Hendrix's final photo shows him with his guitar on September 17, 1970. He died the next morning in London at age 27 from drug-related complications. David Bowie's last photo was taken days before his death in January 2016. Dressed in a sharp suit, he smiled while attending the opening of his musical Lazarus. Sid Vicious was last seen laying in his bed in 1979. He died the next day of a heroin overdose while awaiting trial for murder. Amy Winehouse was last photographed outside her London home on July 23, 2011. She died later that day from alcohol poisoning at the age of 27. Michael Hutchence of INXS was last seen leaving his hotel in Sydney, Australia in November 1997. He was later found dead in his room, shocking fans across the globe. Ian Curtis of Joy Division was last photographed with his daughter Natalie. He died by suicide 2 days later, just before their U.S. tour. Marvin Gaye's final UK photo shoot shows him in his London flat during his last tour. Just months later, he was shot by his father at age 44. Elvis Presley's last known photo was taken at Graceland's front gate on August 16, 1977. He died of a heart attack later that day at the age of 42. Otis Redding's last known photo shows him boarding the plane on December 10, 1967. Hours later, he died in the crash that also killed most of his band. The last known image of Ron Pigpen McKernan, founding member of Grateful Dead, shows him before his death in 1973 from gastrointestinal bleeding. This rare photo of Andy Gibb was taken 2 months before his death in 1988. The singer died from myocarditis brought on by years of drug abuse. Mark Bolan feared dying in a car crash and never learned to drive. Ironically, he died in one. This photo, taken on September 13, 1977, is believed to be his last. Richie Edwards of Manic Street Preachers disappeared in 1995. This photo, taken shortly before, remains one of the last images before his vanishing at age 27. Chester Bennington was last seen smiling with his family in a photo posted on July 19, 2017. He died by suicide the next day, shocking fans and friends around the world. Barry White's last known photo is a family portrait capturing the soul icon's final days before kidney failure took his life in July 2003. Liberace's final photo shows him at the Oprah Winfrey Show episode dated December 25, 1986, visibly frail. He died of AIDS-related complications in 1987, just days later. Ricky Nelson's final photo was taken on New Year's Eve, 1985. He died that same day in a tragic plane crash, along with his band en route to a concert in Texas. Keith Flint was photographed during a 5K run just 2 days before his death, on March 4, 2019. His sudden suicide shocked many who saw him as full of life.